Hello, it's me, Green, and this is a tutorial on how to make an incremental game on HTML. This is going to be pretty simple, so don't expect a lot of advanced mechanics. Just going to be the base game, so you can develop upon this. So let's get started. So you need a text editor. I'll be using Visual Studio Code. You can use whatever you want. You can use Notepad++, Sublime Text. Those both work good. But I'll be using Visual Studio Code because it has auto completion and it's good. So first of all, you just create a file name, or you can name it whatever you want, but it needs to be ending in .html. After this, if you're in Visual Studio Code, there's a neat little thing. So you just press the exclamation point, and it will create like a sample file for you to work with. But I recommend typing everything by yourself. So first we need the doc type. This will tell the system that it's what document it is, and a HTML tag, and a body tag, and also a head tag. In the head tag we can do a title. We can do my first incremental. I'm so bad at spelling. Yeah, and H1, which is heading 1. So this is the biggest one. You can do you have 0 cookies, because that's original. Yes. And we can add a button, so it's pretty self-explanatory. A button, so we get a cookie, and we can just save this with Control S. And I have this plugin installed, like live server, so you can just click this, and as you can see, we have a website. I just zoom in a bit. See, you have 0 cookies, and you can see the button. Make this button look better with CSS, but I'll not be going into CSS in this series, just HTML and JavaScript. Okay, so we have this, but how do we make it functional? So if we click this, how do we get this to increase? That's where JavaScript comes in. So we can make a new file. You can name it whatever you want, but I'll be naming main.js. And before that, at the bottom of the HTML tab, we can do script. And we can do src, which means source, and main.js. I can put just main.js because all my files are in the same folder, but if it's on a different folder, we have to do the path. So like C, and like the C drive, and your username, and desktop, and your file. But since I'm on the same folder, both on the same folder, we can access it directly. And also in the H1 tag, we can reference this data here, this text, by having an ID. So this ID, cookie underscore count. This ID is basically telling that this H1 tag is called a cookie count, so we can access it from the JavaScript. And we can also make a on-click attribute on this button, but we have not created a function, so let's go back later. Okay, here you have to make a variable. So we can do a var, which means variable, and cookies, like equal to 0, because we don't have any cookies. And we can make a function. Function is basically a block of code we can run over and over again. So we can do cookie clicked, and we have to do a parentheses, and these brackets curly brackets there next to your P key, hit enter, and we can do cookies plus plus. This basically means cookies and add a 1 and add 1 to it. Or we can do plus equals 1, that also means the same, and cookies equals to cookies plus 1, this also means the same, but I'll be using plus plus because it's cleaner and easier to read. And if we run this will not work because we have just updated the variable and not the actual text. So in order to do that, we have to reference it. So document, which is basically the HTML file, dot query selector, and had a parentheses and quotes and a hashtag. So a hashtag means ID, and a dot means classes and a bunch of stuff. So we have references using the ID, so we'll be using hashtag and cookie count dot inner HTML, which is basically this text inside the tag, equals, we'll be using tag quotation, and you have plus cookies. You have to add a space. Cookies. If you have coded in Python, you'll be using this to concatenate. Fuck, I can't say that word, but you know what I mean. Two different values, and this is basically the same thing. And now it should work. It doesn't know. It's happening. My computer is so damn slow. Oh yeah, remember that on click we have to add this function. So whenever this button is clicked, this function is running. So cookie clicked, and you have to add the parentheses. Now it should work. Yay! You get a cookie every time you click. And you can change the number of cookies you get by not using plus plus but plus equals, like 10 and 10. So yeah, that's it for the first video. And if you don't want to use external file, you can just make another script like here and copy this code and paste it here, so it's all in one file. But I do not recommend doing that, so it keeps your code organized. You can also add like many different JavaScript files for certain functions to make them more organized. Okay, that's it for this video. I'll be continuing this, I don't know, maybe next week.